Hi, Cam followers. I hope you're all well. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Nikki, and I'm really excited this evening to be talking to Heather and Marianne from Scentwork UK. We were really interested in talking to them because we wanted to learn more about Scentwork. It is a really low impact, easy on the joints activity, fairly recent to the UK, I believe, but they will let us know all about that. So they were very kind in agreeing to come on to Cam and do a Facebook Live with us and tell us all about Scentwork. Some of you may know all about it, doing scent work with your dogs, and other people, this might be the first time they've ever heard about it. So if you do have any questions or any comments as we go along, please do pop them in the comments box and we can have a chat through those either during the conversation or at the end. So thank you so much, guys, for coming on. Would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us how you got into scent work?
Yeah, I'll kick off the ball. Good evening, everybody. I guess really sort of starting from the beginning, I sort of grew up with dogs. You know, my family liked dogs, and we always used to have a border collie around the house. And then when I was a sort of teenager, and I heard about a litter of Afghan hounds that was born just down the bottom of the road, and I really pulled my poor father's arm behind his back and said, "I've got to have an Afghan hound. I've got to have an Afghan hound." So anyway, the story with the Afghan hound, the lady who bred the dog was into breed showing, and I decided that that was far better to breed show dogs than go out with boys. Anyway, I got into breed showing, and then after I sort of went off to university, so the dog sort of got put on the back burner for a bit. And then when I met my husband, and he wasn't particularly doggy, to be honest, but I did sort of say, well, if we get married, I'm afraid I'll probably have to have a dog. I might have to have more. So he didn't know what he was letting himself in for. And wanted to go back into breed showing again. And since then, border collies, which, as I said, was, you know, my original sort of family pet, really, they've been recognised by the Kennel Club. So I just knew I wanted to have a border collie. And anyway, my second border collie that I showed, the first one was a bit of an also-ran, really, but the second one I made into a show champion. And I had a litter from her, and I had kept this little black and white bitch who did actually eventually become a show champion and eventually became a working, she actually had working trials qualifications. I'll explain what working trials is later. But when I used to show her, and if people who do show probably sort of know that you bait the dog, you want it to stand still for a long time and just trot around the ring very obediently. Well, the one I bred wasn't having anything to do with that. She was absolutely nuts.
Bit of a wild card.
So anyway, there was someone sitting around the ring, and I often see him and pull his leg because he used to laugh, and he used to say to me, "That's the sort of dog we're looking forward to do working trials." So anyway, I said, "What's working trials?" He said, "There's a trainer down in Surrey," because that's where we lived at the time. So I went down to Surrey and got into working trials, which for people who don't know is you've got tracking and you've got a search square, and it's those work. And there are other exercises as well. And I really, really enjoyed it. And it calmed this dog down, this absolute exuberant, nutty dog. It completely calmed the dog down. And as I got more and more into it and trained more and more dogs to do it, what I found then is obviously beginners. I started teaching it for my local club, and beginners used to turn up, and they were very drawn to it because of the nose work. And I thought, well, I want to sort of find out a bit more about nose work. And the problem with working trials, even though it's a super sport, is you say to people who come along, well, you need to go and find some land where you can train. So you need to go and sort of knock on a farmer's door and ask him if you can use his fields. Now, most people don't want to do that.
No.
So it was always a little bit of a put off, really, which was a bit of a shame, trying to find the land and so forth. So I looked at, as I say, what we call a search square. It's called a property search, and there's 4 poles in the ground. And they put in, they call it articles, but it might be like a gun cartridge or a piece of carpet, or a cork or something like that. And the dogs really enjoyed it. And it was their movement while they were searching. I thought, this is just brilliant because there's no injuries involved and they're using their mind and they're doing something they really enjoy. So I looked at how to explore that really, and there was nothing in the UK doing, in terms of, I was looking at glorifying the search square, if you know what I mean, that component of it. And I sort of happened to drop in and find a website which was in America, and they were doing Scentwork trials, and it was really big, and people couldn't get on trials because it was so popular.
Really?
So I looked at that, and I did think that the sort of progression and stuff they made was a wee bit difficult. So I simplified it, and what I wanted to do was sort of make it easier for the dogs to get started. And then I wanted all the items that we could do in terms of the searches accessible. So level 1, which is the Scentwork UK very first trial, if people want to compete, it consists of 4 searches, and the first one is a vehicle search, not that have to be done in any order, so everyone's got a car. Okay. Another one is an exterior search, which means anything out of the garden shed.
Okay.
That's somewhere outside. And I thought, well, most people have got a garden, so they can get things out the shed and put it in the garden.
Yeah.
Another search is boxes and luggage. And I thought, well, you can go to Tesco's and get some boxes, can't you? And make some room in your living room, and you can do boxes and luggage stuff. And the last one was tables and chairs. And I thought, most people got tables and chairs.
Most people, yeah.
So really, I thought, well, those can be the first 4, because say it's kind of what most people have got, and therefore you don't have to buy loads and loads of kit.
Yeah.
And then I decided to start up some classes, and when I started the classes, which was 6 years ago in January, the first group, and Marianne was on the classes. Most of the people there were trainers, dog trainers as well, and they liked it.
Yeah.
And people, they went off and trained other people as well. And I then decided to be mean and run a trial, and I thought, let's just throw it on these people and see if they come back the next week. And they really enjoyed it.
Loved it.
So I ran another 2 that year. So we ran 3 in the first year. And then after that, now before COVID, we were running over 200.
Wow.
And some weekends we run as many, or we did as many as 6 or 7 every weekend.
Gosh.
And that is virtually throughout the UK, and it includes Scotland and Northern Ireland. So that's what's happened really in 6 years.
That's amazing.
So very, very rapid, very rapid rise. But I'll hand you over to Marianne, because Marianne would tell, I'm sure her story is slightly entwined as well.
How did you
make her to come to my classes?
Yeah, so that's how you obviously started. So how did you hear about it, Marianne?
Well, actually, I went to Heather first with to do some tracking, because I'd not done tracking before. And we were doing tracking, and then of course Heather started at Scentwork, and I was involved, like, obviously from day one. And it's absolutely brilliant. So I mean, I started my journey with dogs a long time ago, and started just going to training classes, etc. And started off in agility, and which of course, like most other sports, is very, very addictive. But then I finished agility, as we were saying, when the dogs get older, Scentwork is absolutely ideal. But then when I got to a certain age, I got made redundant, and I set up my own dog training company. I did all sorts of training courses, etc. And I'd say 6 years ago, when I met Heather before that, but then when we started doing Scentwork, then obviously I do Scentwork classes as well now. And I also do things like canine conditioning, which help the dogs for from the arthritis point of view,
Yes.
because we're looking after muscles and bones and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a conditioning licensed instructor. So of course, when dogs come to the Scentwork trials, you know, they're absolutely fine, because obviously anybody that comes to me for canine conditioning, I can recommend Scentwork, because it's so good for them, because, you know, it's so low impact, using the brain, and they can go on and do it, and they can just have a lovely time doing it and get tired. So the dogs are really quite happy and content. And then, of course, the handler goes home happy and content as well, which is really, really brilliant.
Yeah. And the dog is loving the handler, because it's taking the handler's taking them somewhere they love. And it's a really good bonding experience, I suppose, isn't it?
It is, for both of them. And it's a lovely day, because you get to meet lots of people who kind of you meet on the circuit, and you make lots of lovely friends. And yes, it's a win-win all round, really.
Yeah, definitely. So what obviously you set this up, and like you're saying, your ideas of what things do we have around? We've all got cars, most of us got cars, gardens, sheds, that kind of thing. So tell us kind of what is Scentwork? What are we actually asking the dog to do?
Okay, if I just sort of tell you a wee bit about Scentwork UK. So once they've trained them, and I'll show you later actually how you can start, really, for people who want to go. Really, with Scentwork UK, so we started off with level 1, and there are now 8 levels, but as with all things in life, the next one you go up to gets a bit harder and a bit harder and a bit harder. And the odour we use in the first 2 are cloves. So here we go, just see that. Okay, so you literally pick it up from Tesco's. So that is the first one that we use. In sort of level 3, we use cloves, tends to appear in all of them, but we add more scents. There's only 3 in total. The next one is gun oil. There we go.
Okay.
Which you can get on online. You can get that on Amazon. So it's about £9. I think that's lasted me for 6 years as well.
Oh, really?
And the level 6 and beyond, we use truffle oil. Let me go that way. Okay. Which is pretty disgusting, actually. But I don't think some people think so either. So there are 8 levels, and people start off in level 1. And as I say, there's the 4 elements, we call it: vehicle, search, exterior, so forth. And you only have to pass in 3 of those. So we don't necessarily have to qualify. So you may get about 20 people who turn up in a level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what tends to happen is they book a trial, and all the trials are actually advertised on the website. And about 5 days before, we set up a running order. So basically, we churn everybody up so that if you're running first in the vehicle search, you might be 5th in the next one, and last in the next, and so forth. And the reason we do that is obviously when the scent goes out, because the judge puts it out 10 minutes before the first dog runs, that it might be easier for some dogs when they go and do it very early, and it may be difficult or easier for some dogs where the scent, because it's left out all the time, so that the first competitor does the vehicle search, and the rest of the 19 people follow on. So all the vehicle search on the same vehicle, the scent's left in the same place throughout. Now, the sort of carrier we use, so we obviously don't put a whole jar of cloves on the vehicle.
I was going to say, because the handler could then see it, couldn't they? Which would then...
They're very good at seeing it. Even though we use these, which actually, let's go that way, it's all it is a piece of material, and it's about the size of a large postage stamp.
Okay.
That's the size in level 1 to 4, and it's a wee bit smaller in the advanced levels. So we tend to predominantly use these. And again, in the more advanced levels, we tend to use hairbands, but there are a lot lot smaller. We cut them up, and they're brilliant finding in cracks in slabs and things like that. They disappear brilliantly and hold a lot of the scent. And other things we use, Velcro. We use quite a lot of, which again, your people here are okay. Either get it from a sewing shop or Poundland sell it as well.
Okay.
That holds the scent really well. Really, really well. So the judge decides where they're going to hide the scented article, and after 10 minutes, so we give it a little bit of time to cook. First competitor comes in, so you're always on your own. The competitor is there with the judge and the scribe. Scribe obviously takes all the marks. Now they're given 3 minutes. This is in level 1 because it changes a wee bit as the levels go up. They're given 3 minutes to say if they're right or wrong. Okay, so all it is a game of hide and seek. Okay, so Scentwork really, in a nutshell, is the game you used to play as a child. It's a game of hide and seek. Someone's hidden it. You got to go and find it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the people who make it complicating, even more complicating than that. Okay. So if they find it, they will tell the judge by saying, usually they say alert, they raise their hand, alert, find, whatever. Okay. The judge tells them at the time if they're correct. And if they're right, they get 20 points. This is level 1. It changes again, level 2, and so on. And they get 5 marks for handling. So there's 25 points factored to the vehicle, another 25 to the exterior, another 25 to the box and luggage, and so on. So it's out of 100. Now, those 5 points are for handling. Now, really, it's teamwork. It's how well has the person worked with the dog? Has the dog just done zoomies around the car?
Right.
It just played games with the boxes, and as which happened in the last draw, did it just throw all the boxes in the air? It was a great time.
Yeah.
searching. So they then decide out of the 5 points what they thought of the performance. So
can they get 0 on that bit? Is it possible to get 0?
Yeah, if they do it.
Oh no.
Number 1 or a number 2 in the search square, we're not too pleased with that.
Yeah.
So we say, no, we don't want you doing a wee in here, please. It's very disruptive for the rest of the dogs. So we do give them 0 for being doing a number 1 or number 2 in the search square.
Okay.
So we do it against the clock. And the only time, and this is where it's really nice, so if you've got a slow dog, and I've seen some dachshunds who just wander in there and go straight to the box and go, it's here.
Yes. Too easy.
It's very impressive, but in their own time. And then you've got the whizzy little cocker who's running around like a blue-nosed fly.
Yeah.
But it's not against time. And the only time we bring time in is if there's a tie on the marks. So it's not a speed game. It's getting it right game, and it's getting it right and really sort of illustrating to the judge you've got nice teamwork. So that trumps over really speed or anything like that.
Can I just ask, are the dogs on a lead, or are they always off of the lead?
It's entirely up to the person.
Okay.
A lot of people work their dogs on the line, especially during the exterior searches, because obviously safety, even though we try and barricade some areas off and make it safe or stop it if we're a bit worried about, sort of maybe a dog walker coming past and so forth. But it's entirely up to the people, because some people aren't very good with line handling and get a bit tired of tables and chairs and things like that. So we used to do presentations and give out the prizes, but we can't do that. Marianne now sends them in the post. And what happens is once you've passed your level 1, you've got 2 choices. So you can either move up to level 2 and then do that. But what we found is if someone just scraped to level 1, say they got 3 out of the 4 fines, we used to shove them on, so you got to do level 2 now. And they kind of had a lot of failure, and that didn't have a very good effect on them.
No.
We said, you can stay in level 1 now, and you can get extra points. And if you get 20 points, you can get an excellent rosette, which is a really nice big rosette, and they seem to be very popular.
Yeah.
Now, how you get that is if you do get to first because we do it, as I say, first to fourth. You get 10 points. If you're second, it's 8 points, 6 and 4. If you get all 4 fines, but you didn't get a place, you get a clean sweep rosette.
Okay.
And if you qualify, you get 1 point. So people now can stay in that level and get up to 20 points. They get their excellent, and then they can move on. Now, to be honest, I need to give Marianne credit for this, because she came up with the excellent rosettes titles. I said, waste of time, no one to go for it. That 400 one year.
Wow.
They're really, really, really popular, and it enables, you know, it's a competition in a competition.
Yes.
Just last thing before I hand over to Marianne as well is we do, so part of your points as well. So the excellence run irrespective of the year. And the other thing we do is we do a yearly point system. So the points, obviously, once you're gaining for your excellence, can factor into this. And that starts on 1st of January and it goes up to 31st of December.
Okay.
And people then can, they're all entered into what we call the Dog of the Year. And we've had the good fortune of the first 4 who go qualify for the Dog of the Year, top 4 people we've been able to do, been invited to discover dogs. And
amazing.
Rock their stuff in the main arena, which is really, really frightening for them. They do their stuff there. But because it was cancelled this year, then we're going to be doing a crafts, which is going to be super, which is going to be in July, as you probably know that. That's on. So it's something that some people really like to achieve. Some difficulties with doing it in that situation. Very, very busy area.
Lots of distractions, isn't there then?
Yes, and we managed to get some sponsorship from IAMS for the prizes. So a good fun day. Fun day. So that's really what Scentwork UK is about, really. So let Marianne come in and say some stuff. Told you I'll talk a lot.
That's fine. That's what you're here for.
Right. So you want me to rate on the points or the rosettes?
Yeah. If you want to describe, if you want to tell us about the points and how you can get these things, because ultimately that's what people want. They want the prizes, don't they? They want the rosettes and the prizes.
Yeah. Well, the points every time, as Heather's already said, they get points every time when they go to compete, and those points add up. And when they get 20 points at levels 1 to 4, they then get the excellent rosette, which I send out to them. And as you say, they absolutely love it. In levels 6, 7, and 8, because it's a little bit harder, they have to get 30 points. So the dogs are working harder because levels 5, 6, 7, and 8 are quite a lot different than 1s to 4. So yes, and apart from that, we also send them a trophy if they come first.
Okay.
So I absolutely love the trophy, and of course, because this year I'm having to send them all out rather than them, because normally they get them at the trial. Lots of photos on Facebook, everybody's smiling, everybody's having a lovely day, and they go home and they take photos of the dog. And as Heather said, they then work towards the Dog of the Year, which is very prestigious because they're off the cuffs or discovered dogs. Plus they get a lovely trophy. They also get a massive great rosette, and they get a sash. So so you know, they all have their photos taken, and those photos are put up on our website as well. So you can go and see who had Dog of the Year each year. And they just really love working towards it. But you don't have to work towards that, because it's still a good day out. You know, you go out with your dog, have a lovely time, and whether you take a rosette or not, you still take home the best dog, don't you? So,
as long as you're happy with your dog's achievement, and you feel like you've had a good day and your dog's tired after it, then you've achieved, haven't you?
That's right. And it's up to the individual whether they want to stay in level 1 or they want to move up to level 2. depends on how the dog's worked and how they feel that their relationship with their dog is.
Yeah.
And some people want to move up quite slowly, and other people want to move up a little bit faster. But some people go for the excellent rosettes in each level, and some work up, they just qualify and then they want to go up to the next level. So it depends on the dog and your relationship with your dog.
Yeah. So you can do it competing against other dogs then, or you can just do it for yourself, and you can get those rosettes and things if you just doing it as a fun activity, I suppose, and not entering a competition. Is that right?
If you don't enter a competition, you won't get a rosette.
Okay. Okay, so it has to be in a competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although a lot of clubs can put on their a mini trial.
Right.
And we can give them rosettes for that.
To hand out in their own one.
An in-house trial. So there's no pressure from the people and their dogs. They can just do it at the club where the dogs are happy. They know the area, they know the people there. They're quite happy in that environment. So they don't have to be into a strange environment, because of course a lot of these village halls the dogs haven't been to before. And some dogs are that, and some dogs they need to go there once or twice before they feel happy. Yeah,
because the new environment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's really down to the handler as to how they want to progress through. And it's open to absolutely everybody. So it's down to you what you want to do with your dog, you know, what you're happy to do.
So what kind of dogs do this? It sounds like it's suitable for every age, every breed of dog. Do you find that certain breeds are better, or are there any age restrictions to do scent work?
No, well, we don't start them until about 4.5 months.
Okay.
Because before they just obviously wouldn't be able to do it. But
no, even then they're going to struggle to concentrate for a period of time, aren't they?
Of course. But if they just come along and have a fun time, they just come to the competition, they then get used to the environment. They're just coming in, have a little play in the village hall with other dogs outside. And as Heather's already said, it's only one dog in the area at the time. So it's open to all dogs. If you have a reactive dog, that is well catered for in all trials. All the trial managers are well aware that reactive dogs need space. So when the judge has their chat to start with, they're asked if there's any reactive dogs there. And if there are, then everybody's made aware that that dog needs a bit of space. And we have runners who will bring them from the car park into the trial area. And they will ensure that there are no dogs in the way, so that a dog can get to the trial and still be happy and not get stressed on the way. Yeah. So that's a reactive dog. You know, you're very welcome to come to a trial, and the dog won't be put up with other dogs there. So they come into the trial. They can do their work in knowing that the dog is quite happy and safe. There will not be another dog in that area, so they can go on with what they're doing. And also help
without the stress.
Yeah, they can build their confidence as well.
Yeah, that's great.
We've had dogs up to Heather's old dog, bless her, Pudsey. She was 13.5 and still doing it. So my boy, he's 12.5 now, and he, up until a couple of months ago, he was still doing it and absolutely loving it.
Good.
So of all ages, all breeds are welcome. Brachycephalic dogs can still do it.
Yeah.
Other dogs are, you know, well able to do it, especially things like Labradors. They're all dogs. We've had such a variety of dogs. I couldn't tell you how many different breeds we've actually had through the last 6 years. Also, we've had dogs with 3 legs. We've had a couple of blind dogs that have qualified.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, and that's gone up to level 2 and qualified there as well. That's down to handlers knowing their dog.
Yes, so know what they can cope with.
That's right, yeah. Elderly dogs are well catered for. One dog has spondylosis, but because it's such a low impact sport, the dog is literally coming into a room and just kind of mooching about, having some fun, looking for something to do at home, wouldn't they? So
Yeah.
All dogs, however old or young they are able to come and have a go.
Okay.
So
there's no sort of required fitness level before you come. There's no sort of jumping or running involved. It's all at their own pace and their own time.
Yeah, and also on the entry form there is a question: do you have an elderly dog or a dog that has a problem, like a back problem? Especially lots of little Dachshunds, they have a little problem, or they might not want them to come up too high.
Okay.
So that question is actually on the entry form. So the judge would be told of any dogs that have a problem or that maybe are quite elderly and cannot get up on their back legs. So the judge will be aware of that, so they know not to put the hide up too high.
Okay. So, because that's one thing I was thinking about with arthritic dogs. Actually, if they're having to climb up to have a look into something, that some might not be able to do that. But that's just cleared that point up really nicely. Is that actually that is taken into account, and if you write it on there, then that won't have to happen.
That's right. And if you do forget to put it on the entry form when you get to the trial, obviously everybody chats in the car park, and the judge can be told, oh, this little dog's got arthritis, they can't jump up on anything, or they can't even stand on their back legs. So everything would be done according then to that dog, so that it would have to do anything that's going to hurt it at all.
Yeah, that's just really, it's good that you can just tweak it and adjust it for each dog. So what would you say, just out of interest, what would you say is the best breed of dog for this? Who's shown to be good? I wonder, is it the Labrador? Or are there a few surprise breeds in there?
Oh, absolutely. There are many, many surprise breeds that you would think, well, they're not going to be sniffer dogs, but they come along and they absolutely ace it.
Do they?
Yeah, all sorts of breeds. I wouldn't like to suggest just one because because there are so many different breeds. It's actually amazing. You go to a trial and you look along the line and you think, oh gosh, I've not seen one of those for many years. Oh gosh, yes, that's a different breed. Literally, more or less, we've had hundreds of different breeds come along, and they've all done brilliantly.
Out of interest, Heather, have you ever had an Afghan come in and do it?
No, it wasn't the one I decided to keep.
Okay.
They have been voted, haven't they, for the most difficult dog to train. And
they can be, can't they?
It really was. I just like to say I never repeated the exercise. He was the one and only. So I went to border collies after that. But we do get a lot of dogs from other sports.
Yes.
Now we do get an awful lot of people who show their dogs, and we have had Lhasa Apsos, and it's amazing, seeing this sort of floating carpet.
Yes,
really.
You're so used to them parading around, aren't you? And then
they still parade around, but they're doing it in a slightly different way, a lot more random. Some of the whippets are pretty good. Again, you would think that they probably wouldn't be the ideal breed for that. I believe we had a show champion, bearded collie. He's level 3, I think, at the moment. And again, really, really, really nice dogs. Some of the breeds are kind of like on the import register for the rare breeds at the Kennel Club. And even though I was in the breed showing in the very early days, I don't even know what some of these dogs are when they turn up.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because sometimes
put my foot in it and say the crossbreed.
Yes, exactly. I'm the same. Sometimes you think I should know this, and you think I have no idea what this breed is. I'm glad it's not just me.
In the book.
Yeah, exactly. Google search quickly. Yeah.
So it's not, and of course other dog sports. Some dogs, some particular sports are pretty full on in terms of the impact that they have on the dog. And I know there's an awful lot of awareness now with those sports and keeping the dogs really in prime condition, and everyone works very, very hard at that. There's certainly a lot more awareness than that, and keeping dogs safe and so forth. But I think, so there's always when it's activities, it's the same with the human world, isn't it, that they get to a certain age and you have to retire. And you know, it's like my husband always says, really, you know, what do sports people do when they retire? They can't all become sports commentators, you know.
No.
And there's that sort of, what do I do now? And it's the same with the dogs. And if you just say, or you know, you're maybe you're not even just 9, say they have been a dog that did unfortunately have quite a few injuries, they've had to retire them early or even earlier than 9, and the dogs don't like to retire. And I think when you've G'd them up and you've taught them and you get this bond, and the dogs love it, and if you were to put them on the back burner, I think some can get depression. And I had a collie that had depression because I had to retire her from working trials, and I didn't recognise it as such. And as Marianne said, my collie who died a couple of years ago, she did working trials, she did agility, which are very high impact, and then she became a demo dog for Scentwork UK, and the last time I demoed with her was 2 weeks before she died, and I didn't know she had lymphatic cancer. But she would not retire. She would not retire.
She really enjoyed doing the Scentwork
work, and she was bright as a button. So you know, you just wonder, similar to like people, if you can keep them going mentally, you know, you have a very happy dog. It's lovely seeing them as well. You know, I call them the old codgers because they do act a bit different. You know?
Well, it's such a common thing, isn't it? People will say, "Oh, you know, slowing up, a bit quieter." It's just because he's old, and this is what we're talking about on cam all the time. It's not. He's not. Yes, he may be getting older, but it's not, and that's not what's going on. It's not just age. There's something that we can do about this, and if it's something like arthritis that's causing those signs, there's so many things you need to think about. So you've got all your vet stuff, all the pain relief, but like you said, they can get really depressed. So you also need to think about replacing that kind of physical exercise with the mental exercise, don't you? Which is what you just kind of said, and what Scentwork is fantastic for. And they get that new buzz, and that they're learning a new skill, and they're loving it. And it just, I think people are amazed when, like when you said, when you kind of found out that your older collie was depressed, it hadn't even occurred to you, and then suddenly think, God, no, she is. And it's really important to make sure they're still getting that stimulation one way or another, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, you know, I don't mean this with the, you know, pet dogs, but I know some people sort of say, oh, he's just a pet, and I think a lot of dogs don't want to just be a pet. They like to do stuff. And I do think when I first owned dogs, as probably all of us did, things were different in those days. And they didn't mind if your dog was a bit unruly and you could walk the streets with it off the lead. And whereas now, you know, it's then you don't want them chasing wildlife. You know, the gamekeeper will be on you, and it's dangerous now. So I do think with quite a few dogs and different breeds, if you don't entertain them when you're out and about, they'll go and find their own entertainment, and it's often something that bothering other people, bothering other dogs, bothering the wildlife. Whereas if you do some searching games, then they are running around in a very non-injurious way. You know, they can hurt themselves chasing wildlife, and they sustain a lot of injuries doing that, but you're controlling it. If you're getting them to search, and there's none of this fast impact and putting on the brakes on a toy or a ball with ball throwing, so it's just this very gentle meandering, because they're searching, and they're also, you know, using the mind as well, so it's mind work. And as I say, whenever mine have a problem in the past with injury, I think, okay, we're going to be doing some scenting, search work, indoors, outdoors, tracking, all those, and you get a content dog. But it's very easy. If you don't mind, I can just show you how we get going, how we sort of start some of the things people can do at home during Christmas. We're all on our own at Christmas. So.
A long old Christmas. Shall we? Do you want to run some of your videos?
Should we do that first before we say about the training?
That might be. Let's do your ones that.
Do my videos that I had from the ones I showed you earlier, but just let me know if I don't get this screen share.
Then I think it's often easier, isn't it, with a video to kind of explain sometimes what you mean.
This is a level 1 trial. Now this is hang on, let me just show you there. This is the vehicle search. So this was level 2 actually. So they did something else, but this is just to show you the vehicle. And with the vehicle, it's always on the outside. Okay, so you can see it was just there. Let me just show you another one here. Okay, so you saw the lady putting her hand up. Now this is an unusual breed. We didn't know what this was. This was the tables and chairs search. And these, because it was level 2, they have to do the perimeter, and it was on one of these items as well. It's on this chair, and when we tend to hide it on the chair, we tend to tuck it just underneath, so that obviously the handler can't see it.
Okay.
The judge was just clarifying really with the judge where that was.
Yeah.
These were all really quick, these ones.
And it shows exactly what you mean. And actually what it shows to me is that this is all stuff, like you said, that we have at home. So you can practice this at home, can't you? Over Christmas, this is what people will be doing.
Yeah. So this is the exterior here. There's the judge there. And really, okay, we got things out of the shed here.
Mm-hmm.
The judge brought her own items, and she decided to bring in a Christmas theme. So we got the sledge here. Look, there's a snowman who's had too much wine, probably. He's on his back. And this is an unusual breed. Sarah probably shoot me because I can't pronounce its name. But and I think it's on there actually, but no doubt the dog would tell us. Yeah. So she gets very excited when the dog's hand it. Now
so
this
the dogs
dog
do
here,
different things, don't they? Some dogs they sit down. Some dogs will sort of just go crazy at it.
Yeah, it's the judge isn't too bothered about the indication. It's the person that's got to get it right. This dog here, actually, this whippet, this dog has got something called carpal hypertension,
right?
Which is on this leg, as you can see. So this is the boxes and luggage. This is the sort of thing that competitors are going to get, really.
Not showing any sort of lameness. Very low impact, isn't it? Like you say, not
absolutely
not difficult at all.
Hang on, let me just find you again on Crone. Yeah, so those were the 4 searches there, which would happen obviously in the level 1.
Okay.
But if people want to train it, and you sort of say, you often say, well, how do you start and stuff?
Yeah.
Now, if the dog's a foodie, so some dogs really prefer food over toys, and some tend to sort of hold them in equal value. But it doesn't matter. So what you can do here, that's the camera there. I've just put some food in here, and I put in those Frankfurters sausages. Okay, that's just sitting there. And what I've done here, because it's all about getting positive sort of association between the scent and their favourite, whether it's food or toy. So what I've done here is I've put, that's got the clove scent on it. So we've got a bit of Velcro there, and that's had the clove scent on it. And that's on the top. So that's just fusing now with those treats in there. So that's how we can start a foodie dog, and all we have to do. So I'd say probably do that the night before and then use them the next day. That's fine. Okay. So then I'd use these sausages, and maybe around the sitting room, I'd put 5 of those, and just send the dog in until it find it.
Right.
And as soon as it's eaten the 5th one, you take it out the room. You can do that as many times as you wish. You can use different rooms and so forth. Okay. And you can take these off to the park as well if you wish. So you can chuck a load, do a food scatter and chuck a load in the longish grass. What the dog is doing when it's using its nose, it's smelling the clove as the main thing. Yeah. Even though this is quite garlicky, obviously. You can use cheese, you can use tiny bits of liver. It doesn't matter, whatever the dog likes. So you're linking the 2 together, sort of in a very, whichever one rides over the other. It doesn't really matter. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's a good way to start with a dog that's foodie.
So will the clove will always overpower the smell of the, they will always associate the clove smell, will
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I gather, I heard this, well, my husband heard it on the radio one, these little truffle dogs, Ligrettos,
Yeah.
and they say that if they are, you know, breeding them for finding truffles, that as soon as the bitches have the puppies, they smear the truffle on the bitches' teats. And
Oh, really?
is they obviously are blind, born blind, and, you know, they know as soon as the bitch walks in because the smell of the milk, and therefore they're getting a emergence of the truffle.
Training them really young.
They're trying to make an addict.
Yeah.
These truffles cost so much money. You know, what works. So that's, yeah, I heard, my husband heard that on the radio. I was like,
wow, I never knew that.
Starting really young. Now, if the dog's into toys, so all you can do here is, you know, if it's got a tie on here, and again, with this hasn't got scent on it, by the way, but you can cut off pieces of material, and you can dose these in a jar. Again, I've got some scented articles in there.
Okay.
So you can plough it in there, leave it in there for a day, 24 hours, maybe 2 days if you wish. Okay, because that's how long it needs to be prepared before people go to trial. Take it out and put it on the toy so that when you do go to the park, make sure you throw it into the wind,
right?
Because the dog is just getting the smell of the odour here. Okay. Now, people don't know what into the wind or downwind is, but I always say if you've got a hat on, your hat will blow off if you're going into the wind.
Okay.
Your hair will blow forward if you're downwind. So make sure your hat's
the way the hat goes
off.
Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow, so off you go. And then carrying on with the food here. What I tend to use are these little pots here, and they're little dressing pots.
Okay.
And what I start off by doing, and you can get a group of, here we go, you just get them from Amazon. Okay, little tiny dressing pots.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's 4 in there. And what I've done here is I put the scented article. There's the clove scent on there. That's the Velcro. And I put a piece of food just on the top, a bit of frank butter or whatever, and I'd have 4 of these and hide them around the sitting room. So I'd do that for about, dog's just going to eat them, and that's fine. Then once he's found them, I tuck it in my pocket, so they're not finding an empty one. And after about 3 days, I put the treat inside the pot, and this on the top here, I've got a load of holes in it. Okay. Now, I tend to get it out a good couple of hours and the food in there before I train the dog, because I want the smells to start coming out through the holes. Okay.
Yeah.
So the food really the smell of the food is getting less and less and less, and the smell of the odor is always the same. So that's going to strike the dog first. So I'll do about 3 days of that. So obviously, if the dog finds it, you rush up and you've got to help the dog and
have the treat.
Then pop this one in your pocket and find it, because there's maybe another 3 out there.
Okay.
If you have a greedy Labrador, I do recommend you use a big size, yeah, because that has been known they sort of, you know, might eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you to get there. But think about safety here, and we don't want to keep these vets too busy, do we, Nikki?
Well, no, we're already busy enough. No,
it's
thank
in
you.
the dog. It's in the dog. So be careful about this. If it's a dog who's a real muncher, and it is your Labradors generally, then use bigger pots. Okay.
I have to say, so far I haven't had an emergency Scentwork training issue come in. So hopefully it doesn't happen too frequently.
And of course, the very last phase is no holes, food's in the pot. Okay, going the wrong way. And the lid's gone on, and it's purely the smell of that which is telling the dog that it's on a promise. It's on a promise. Okay. But if you say, well, my dog just likes toys, he's not interested in food, you get some of those, then, as I say, you can either tie this on, okay, which I showed you earlier. You can plunge, if he's a tennis ball nut, the whole toy into a jar of cloves, if you wish, but then they do spit on them. So what I tend to do is I just tend to get a piece of material. I've got a sock here. I plunge the sock into the jar, leave it in for a couple of days, and then I would put the toy, I'll go the wrong way, I'll put the toy just like that to start with.
Okay.
Start putting it in deeper. Okay, so he can't smell it, but he's a bit like the food, he's on a promise, it's there. But then I can wash this and then use a clean one for a new scented one up for the next day.
Okay.
Some dogs, they get it in that session.
Really?
Yeah, it can be really, really quick.
Does that tend to be the younger dogs, or not really? It can be anyone?
Any age, yeah. Some do take longer. Probably the Afghan hound would still be doing it now.
Yeah.
But you do get the old thickie, I should say. But some of them just go, yeah, I know this smell means this, and that's all you're in a nutshell. It's saying that's on a promise to what you want in your life. And it becomes quite addictive to a lot of the dogs, really. And the people, I find they're terribly fascinated by it. And I think a lot of that is to do with the TV programs, bringing in the dogs, and obviously you've got medical protection, and there's a lot of people are very interested in why what dogs, what they find through their nose, and what are they reading, and what are they saying, and why are they so interested in that piece of grass, and I think they see this as a way of you can read them. You can read their implications, which is quite amazing how the sun moves to read them, watch them. It's lovely. It's quite magical, and I find you get a real thrill out of that.
And you're already, you're just kind of harnessing that the skill that they already have, aren't you? And so they're always going to be good at this, I guess. Eventually, they just need a little bit of guidance as to how to do it to get the rewards. But this is something that dogs were made to do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They go out and they like to smell other dog odor, and I think that's why, as I say, we've got the balance of the indoor searches and the outdoor searches. And the outdoor searches, they do have the challenge, not so much vehicle search because it's elevated, of, are you going to go for the dog pee? We don't control that. Or are you interested in the odor? So that is a challenge, especially in the high levels, where the searches are sort of are completely different. So excuse me, they might be hidden in a tree, not too high up. But we know that probably the village dogs have walked in on there and they lifted their leg on the tree.
Yeah, so they're smelling that as well.
Yeah. So
when you start them, I guess you should always start with the things that you were just describing. You're always going to start inside, aren't you? Where the smell is going to be probably more intense and there's going to be fewer external influences. Yeah,
but I think also with outside, it's like anything. If the dog goes to the same park each day, I know it finds it enjoyable, but it gets very familiar.
Yeah.
So I'd pick anywhere that they've been familiar with, because it's a bit like us. It's you go for a walk, you think I was a bit bored with this now, because you kind of get used to everything. And whereas if you start off your training with the in the parks, then you're more likely to get success. But again, as I say, some dogs, if you say, well, do you want to play some games with me, or do you want to go and run around the park, you can enable them to make choices, and I think a lot of the dogs well, they're probably like a bit of both, really.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, they can have a session and do both things on the same walk, can't they?
Yeah, I think it's a bit like kids that go to the park, but as soon as mum and dad says, should we play? You know, can you play, mum? Can you play, dad?
Yeah, totally.
You know, you love it.
Yeah.
I don't know more, but I'm older now.
No, it sounds like not an easy thing, but so accessible. And like you say, stuff you can do at home, or stuff that you could, if you got into it and your dog was addicted to it and you were addicted, there's that option for competitions and starting to get the rewards as well.
Yeah, Marianne, do you want to?
Yeah, and also as Heather was saying, when you're out on the walk, rather than just going for a walk and chatting on the phone, which some people do.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
you can take some bits of food and hide it in the grass and send your dog out to find it, so that they're not, where is it, and they're having fun. They come to you then with the reward, and you can get them into a sit and wait and go off. So you do a little bit of getting them to eat as well. You can go and hide something. So that the game kind of hide and seek. They're having great fun, and also they're focusing on you. They're not worried about, as Heather was saying, not worried about chasing squirrels or anything else. So and you're enjoying the walk as well. It's not just I get to the field, I take the dog food and I walk around and I put the dog on at the end, which doesn't really do either of you any good. So if you're doing that, of course, then you're building up their confidence for finding things as well, and they're having great fun. And then, of course, because they're using their brain, they're also getting a bit extra tired, because, of course, just going out running, they don't get very tired, do they? Have 5 minutes rest and they're ready to go again. Yes. When they're sniffing, they do get a lot more tired.
Yeah.
Which we haven't actually touched on yet is during this lockdown, because obviously we couldn't have Facebook and everybody was trying to bit or need to go to a trial, we put on online trials.
I've just seen a few comments about that. People have been writing in, the online trials have been so good, really enjoyed them. So yeah, please do tell us about those.
Yeah, so the online trial is obviously at your home. So you're home alone, it's catered for that. So you can be home alone, and we as the trial manager will phone you up, and we can do it on Zoom, Messenger, however, and whatever technology allows us to do it on.
Right.
And we can watch then. If you're home alone, we'll then obviously tell you where to hide the scent. But then we'll stand back so that you're not influencing your dog. So we would, you'd have to stand back and let your dog actually go and do the search itself.
Okay.
If you're home and you have a helper at home, then the person with the dog can go and hide, or while they're speaking to the helper, we can get the helper to hide the scent, and then the person, the dog, can come back in, and of course they're doing it then blind. So
they don't know. Yeah, of course.
So again, then it's really hard to know whether they have worked with their dog, whether they understand what their dog is telling them.
Right.
All dogs kind of give off a different little behaviour when they find it. Some dogs will just stand and stare. Some dogs will lie down. Some dogs put an ear. Some dogs will wag the tail fast. Of course, as you do it with your dog, get to know your dog even better, because you're reading the body language as well.
Read the signs.
So that's So, and the online trials are very similar. As we start off, the beginners are equivalent to levels 1 and 2.
Okay.
So, and again, you can get points, and then I can send you rosettes in the post. And so it's a good day, because you can do it in your own home. The dog is very familiar with it. They're more confident.
Yeah.
And again, there's 2 indoor. There's the tables and chairs and the boxes and luggage indoors, and then outside there is the exterior items and the car. But not everybody has a big drive, so maybe if they can't get access to a car safely, then they can do it along the fence line or along a wall.
Okay.
So still able to do it.
been adapted so you can do it online and it's safe for everyone.
That's right. So it's totally safe. And of course, whether the dog's on or off lead is again down to the handler. They know their own dog.
Yeah.
And again, they get points for how they interact with their dog, how the relationship is. And then you can go to levels 3 and 4, which it makes, again, stepping it up a little bit, making it a little bit harder. And then there's a bonus in there, because in levels 3 and 4, the second item could be removed if you don't. But if you want to keep it where it is, you can have a bonus of an extra 10 points. So,
all right.
Yeah. So again, it's down to the handler then to make their choices of what they want to do.
Yeah.
But they've worked really well. They've
kept people busy with their dog.
It has, yeah. And of course, people then are, if they're not allowed to go out, they've still got something to work towards, something to focus on, and something to do with the dog and interact with us, because they're chatting to us during the day.
Yes.
And then we pop all the results onto the Facebook group.
Okay.
And congratulate each other, which is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, such a good idea to try and keep it going throughout lockdown.
And at the moment, we've got Leslie Clements, who's in Northern Ireland, running trials. Herself and Yaz Whitehall now are running these online trials. Yaz is kind of in the Midlands. So we've got the country covered again. So
brilliant.
And because we're on technology, it doesn't matter where we are.
You could be anywhere. Yeah, I mean, well, we should put a link to that. If you can give me a link to the online trials, we can put that attached to the Facebook Live. And then if anyone's interested in doing, because we're still going to be obviously restricted for some time, then that'd be great if we could have that and we can just pop it on for people if they want to do it.
Well, on our website is everything is on there about how the online trials work.
Okay.
And all trials are actually listed on there, so you can complete an entry form to go on to the online trials.
Brilliant.
So it's just on the website. All the information is on there.
On the website. Well, I'll put the link and I'll put the link to some videos as well. I was saying to Heather earlier, there was a really nice video that you did, Marianne, and there's another lady called Catherine on there. And I think it'd be quite nice just to share that now about why you enjoy Scentwork. So if you're happy for me to do that, is that okay?
Fine. Yeah.
This is your the fame. Let's just do that. Just be a really nice thing to share. Yeah, that's it. So there. So here we go. So I'm just going to make that into a big one. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because I thought it was brilliant with respect to arthritic dogs in particular. And I just love his tail when he's like going around, and you can see how much he's loving it. So I kind of just wanted to end with that and just show that that obviously, you know, he is just probably the best candidate. Well, he could be like a show for arthritic dogs, or you know, mobility issue dogs, having something that they can really focus on and really loving it. I don't think that video is fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know, but I couldn't actually hear the sound. I hope the listeners could hear the sound.
Oh no!
But, I think he's got spondylosis, the dog.
Yes. Yeah.
But those videos, they're on YouTube actually. You probably saw it was bannered up. Naturally Happy Dogs, and Sally's done an awful lot of videos where she's been to trials and so forth. And there's lots of training, all sorts of training stuff on her on that channel actually, which is very useful.
Yeah. I'll share those links as well. Actually, I know they couldn't hear it. Oh, sorry about that. So basically, yeah, Pepper, the second Labrador, there, he has spondylosis and also a hip problem, which you could probably see in the video. But his owner, his handler, was saying how great it was because it was so easy for him to do despite his mobility issues, and just gave him a real buzz. So yeah, I will put those links because if you want to go back and listen with the sound, do, because really, really lovely video.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, as I said, we've got a website, as Marianne says. There's an awful lot of information on there about the face-to-face trials, but as I say, there's not that many because of the chops and changes at the moment. And it tells you about all the rules and what you have to do with the online trials. We have a Facebook group, not to be confused with the page, because the page we sort of don't put too much on, to be honest. But on the group, you know, lots of people ask all sorts of things, really. You know, is there a trainer here, and how do I get started? I've got this problem with this, and we can keep people in touch in terms of changes we have to make and so forth.
So,
there's about 4,500 people on that, and you know, I think it's virtually sort of worldwide now. We've also got a YouTube channel as well. There's a few videos on there as well. So yeah, there's plenty of help out there.
Plenty, of information.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully we've inspired people to just give it a go. And as I say, with you know, being all stuck at home this Christmas,
something fun.
To get your frankfurters out, and maybe turkey flavour clove.
Definitely, we're all going to have leftover food, and we're all going to be with lots of time on our hands. So this is perfect. I will put all those links in on our page so people can find them. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and talking about it. And if we have sort of questions afterwards, I'll email you with those if that's okay, and then I can answer them on the page. But yeah, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Well.
No, it's been really useful, really interesting. So thank you everyone for joining, and enjoy your evening, and we will see you again soon.
Bye now.